Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'll be unboxing and giving my first impressions on my brand new cubing timer. So here the box of the YJ cubing timer is quite simple in design. It has Conquer the World written on one side of it. On the top it has a couple of designs with timer pictures. On the other side it has some other instructions and pictures indicating what the timer can do. Now opening the box, inside we have a timer obviously wrapped in a thin plastic cover. Alongside the timer we also get a small instruction manual, and that's all we get in the box. Now the instruction manual, every single thing is written in Chinese, so unless you can read Chinese, that's of no use basically. Now opening the timer itself, it's stuck on with a piece of tape. Now that we remove that, we can take the timer out of the thin plastic wrapper. On top of the screen there is a small film that we can remove, pretty satisfying indeed. And then we have our timer, pretty nice to look at. I mean, the design is quite well thought out, and overall I like the design of this timer. So this is the YJ cubing timer, and some people also call it the YJ big timer because obviously YJ also have their YJ pocket timer, which they released before this. So this timer is more like a cheaper alternative to the traditional StackMat timer, which if you didn't know is actually very expensive for what it does. But this does the exact same thing and it comes for a lot cheaper. And just like on a StackMat timer, you can mount it to a full-size cubing mat. You have the two mounting holes here. You have four grips, a battery tray, four screws at the back. Coming to the front, you have an extremely nice soft matte finish, which I really like. And then the screen itself, pretty standard. It has the two lights obviously, red and green, for when you can start your solve and when the solve is complete. It has something written in Chinese and it says Young Joe Cube, which is confusing, but yeah, it is what it is. And then on the top you have three buttons. One button for the power on, one button I believe is to save the solve, and one button is for going through the menus for the different settings. At the bottom you have one button for reset, and then you obviously have the port for the headphone jack to connect this to the computer. So when it comes to the port, this is like a StackMat timer and has a 2.5mm jack port over here, whereas a traditional headphone jack is 3.5mm. So you need an adapter for that, or unless you have the actual cable itself. Now coming to the overall working of this timer, I really like the fact that the reset button is actually on the side, unlike a traditional StackMat timer where it's somewhere over here, where normally sometimes, as you may know from competitions, your thumb can hit the reset button and then your time is not saved or not recorded, which has been a huge problem in some speed cubing competitions. And I think this is a very good decision to put it in a place where, well, none of your fingers hit that place, even when you're doing a solve. Like you would stop like this, not a single one of your fingers goes and pushes that button. So I think this is the right thing to do when it comes to cubing timers, to prevent that problem from occurring. So yeah, I really like that about this timer. And overall, I think this timer is actually really nice. The build quality is really good. It has a decent amount of weight to it. When you shake it, you can hear something rattling on the inside. I don't know if you can hear that. I don't know if you can hear that, but you can hear something slightly rattling on the inside, probably a wire or cable or something like that. But that doesn't concern me too much. I don't think it should concern anyone too much. Maybe, I mean, obviously this timer, you shouldn't be throwing it around. You shouldn't be giving it a durability test or anything like that. So for traditional speed cubing, this timer should work perfectly. And that's a very important statement because I said should. Let's see if it does. So I have two AAA batteries here, and if we open it, we need two AAA batteries, so we can put that in. The batteries are in. Now the power button, we can turn it on, and there you go, it's turned on. 0.000. So yeah, obviously in speed cubing competitions we take only the first two decimal places, not the third. And let's try using it. So our hands would go here, the red light, then the green light. We can go and then stop. 1.251. Yeah, And then we can do the reset button right here, and it's back to 0. Just like a traditional start my timer, you put your hands on, red light comes on, then the green light indicating that now you can start your solve. Then you do it, you finish your solve, then put your hands on the timer, and there you have your time. And then you can reset it or save it or do whatever you want. So overall, this timer works really well, exactly what it has to do, and I think it does everything it has to do. Now let's try a solve. I have my 3x3 here. Let's try a solve with this timer, see what time we get, and then we're going to connect this timer to CS timer on the computer using the headphone jack cable, and then we'll see how that works on CS timer. So now let's just try a solve. I have my scramble cube here, some inspection time. Put the cube down, hands on the timer, green light comes on, start the solve. Cube down, stop the timer, and there we have a time, 26.327 seconds. Not a great time when it comes to 3x3, but we're not concentrating on that today. We're concentrating on this timer, and it works well. I think this timer does everything it needs to do. So far there hasn't been any problems. Obviously, we will know if there are any flaws with the timer as we use it more and more. So far, on first impressions, I really like this timer. So here I have CS timer open before me. I have my timer, my 3x3, and also the cable, the wire that I told you about, 2.5mm jack on one side and a 3.5mm jack on the other side. So I watched a YouTube video about how to connect your YJ timer to the computer and CS timer, and you have to plug in the 3.5mm jack to the microphone port on your computer, and the other 2.5mm jack obviously to your timer. Turn the timer on, and then now you go to CS timer, go to the settings or option button, and there are many options over here. You go to timer and change. There's an option called entering in times with, and there's a blank where you can choose what you enter the times in with. So by default it'll be keyboard, and it's written as timer, which means the input comes from the keyboard. So you click on that, and then you get many options. You change it to stack mat. So when you change it to stack mat, now it means the computer is expecting a timer to be connected to it and the input to come from the timer. You change it to stack mat, and here down there'll be one button, use stack mat status information. You click on that, so a tick mark will come on, and then you press OK. So now we have our computer. It has no zeros as it would normally have, it's just blank. So now I think what you should do, you should switch off your timer, switch it back on, and let's see if it connects. I have reloaded CS timer, and then press OK, and now we have our timer connected to CS timer. Let's see if it works. It works. Stop the timer, and there we have our time. Here 1.88 seconds, over here 1.88 seconds. So now we have our timer connected to CS timer. Now do we have inspection time? Let us check. Yes, we have inspection time. So we can still do inspection time. We can start the inspection time, and then we can put our hands on the timer.
8 seconds.
When the green light comes, start the timer, stop it, and there we have our time. So now we have connected our YG timer to the computer, and now let's try an average of 5 with our 3x3. So first let's apply the scramble, put this 3x3 down, start the inspection time, and here is my first solve. So I've completed my first solve with a time of 19.17 seconds, which is pretty good. And I would say the input between the timer and the computer is honestly quite fantastic, and there's no input delay or lag, and the exact same time on the timer is the one on the computer. So that is good. So now let's complete the other 4 solves. So I've now completed my average of 5 with my 3x3 on CS timer with the YG timer connected to it, and these were my times. So these were my 5 times from the 1601 to the 1605, the last one being my worst solve, which with a pretty bad time. But yeah, an average of 5 of 21.354, which I would say is pretty good. So overall, this timer works really well. I think it does everything it needs to do, and I am really happy with this timer, really happy with my purchase of this timer. I was not disappointed at all. And I think this timer is a very good alternative for the regular StackMat timer if that's not in your budget, because I'm telling you guys, this is much cheaper. And I'm not trying to promote this or demote the StackMat timer, but this is a really good timer and I am very happy with it. So guys, that is all. If you did enjoy the video, please do consider hitting the like button and subscribing. It really helps me out. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.